All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Let's Talk Recovery. I'm glad you're here tonight. Um, if you're watching live, if you jump in and you watch live, uh, I'd like you to jump into the comments and let me know where you're checking in from. Just say hello and let me know where you're at. I'm always interested in knowing where people are watching from. If you're watching the replay on Facebook or on one of my other social media platforms, in the comments, type replay. Maybe let me know where you're checking in from so that I can go back and see who caught this later. You know, there are actually what for me is a large number of people watching later. For a lot of people, the views that I have wouldn't be all that much. But for me, I think that my audience is pretty limited because of the nature. We're talking recovery and we're speaking about specific things here. And I'm pretty happy with the amount of views that I get. But the majority of them come on the replay. And I'm interested in knowing where everybody is watching from. So tonight, we're going to be talking about something that might seem simple on the surface, but actually it can be a very powerful tool in recovery. And that is creating daily routines that support recovery. Whether we realize it or not, routine is important to all of us. Everybody does better with routine. I know some of you are going to push back and say, man, I like to fly by the seat of my pants. I'm more spontaneous. And it may appear to be that way, but I'm going to tell you, all of us function better when there is routine in our life. And, talking about routines and all like that, it's not something that's flashy. Routines rarely are, but recovery isn't built on big dramatic moments. Long-term recovery is built on small daily choices. And those choices shape who we're becoming in our recovery. So let's dive in tonight. Right off the bat, let me ask you a question. You know, I like to ask questions. What's one part of your day that feels the most chaotic or the most unstructured? Many of us have a specific time of the day that falls into that category. It just seems regularly to be chaotic and unstructured. For some people, it's in the morning. We get up in the morning, we sleep in as late as we can, we hit the snooze 3, 4, 5 times, trying to get that last minute or two of sleep. And then we jump out of the bed and we're rushing around the house trying to get dressed and get out the door and make it to work on time. For some of us, it's mornings like that. And those, we build our day off of that start. For some people, it may be throughout the middle of the day, maybe at work. There's specific times at work where there's a rush at work, or a deadline where we have to make a shipping deadline, something like that. For some people, it's the evening. Maybe you work all day or you're at home, but the kids are at school. And then in the evening, you've worked all day long, you come home, and all of a sudden, here's the family, here's the kids, and we're looking for an opportunity to relax. But kids have to go to ball games or practice or something like that, and our evenings seem to be totally chaotic and out of control. So my question for you right off the bat here is, what's one part of your day that feels the most chaotic or the most unstructured? Shoot that in the comments and let me know what you're thinking. So, what we're going to start with is why routines matter in recovery. For a lot of us that are in recovery, our addictive behaviors lived in the cracks. They lived in those little hidden places. And when we were bored, we were lonely, we were stressed, we were overwhelmed, we were unstructured. That's when the addiction rears its head and we end up acting out. Chaos creates space for old patterns to sneak back in while we're in recovery. Hey, Blast, driving to Miami in traffic, dude. I've heard you talk about that a lot. And I know that that's a place for you that just seems to be total chaos. And so chaos creates space for old patterns to sneak back in. It triggers feelings that we don't know how to deal with, or feelings that we're just trying to escape from. And these old patterns sneak back in as a result of that chaos. Recovery thrives in predictable rhythms. And while I'm talking today, I'm going to let you know up front, I've been congested, been having some problems, some coughs and that kind of thing, and my voice is kind of acting up. So I may be coughing a little more than usual. My voice may be fading in and out. Let you know that. But recovery thrives in predictable rhythms. Addiction thrives in chaos. The more jumbled, the more chaotic, the more likely we are to struggle. So routines matter for a number of reasons. Number one, routines, having a regular daily routine, certain activities at specific times of the day, daily routines can reduce decision fatigue. Now, what do I mean by that? It means, for instance, if we have a structure, when we get up in the morning, I get up, I get dressed. For me, my routine, I get up in the morning, I head immediately to the coffee pot. I get that coffee going. That's a routine that I enjoy in the morning. Routines keep us from having to make decisions. It's just something that we do regularly. Routines give our mind and our thoughts a path to follow. Again, we just don't have to think about what we're going to do. We get up and we follow a routine. Routines add stability where there used to be instability. For me, when I was in active addiction, I didn't know from 1 minute to the next what I was going to be doing. Routines keep us connected to our goals. Now, there's a question for you. Do you have goals in life? Do you have goals that you're working towards, that you're pressing towards? And then routines create a sense of safety. We feel comfortable in that routine. We know what's coming next. Routines create a sense of safety. They create emotional stability and physical stability. When life gets busy, stressful, or emotional, we don't rise to our goals. We fall to those levels of habit. There's a guy, Chris Voss. He's a retired FBI hostage negotiator. And one of the quotes that he has that I like is, when the going gets tough, we don't rise to the occasion, we fall to the preparation. And that plays right into the idea of routines and recovery. We have a plan. We know what's coming next, and we don't have to think about it. We're able just to flow in that routine. So What I'm going to touch on here for a few minutes is 4 anchors of a recovery-focused day. What I'm going to say, 4 anchors. There is a little bit of flexibility in this, all right? With 4 anchors, we begin with a morning grounding time. Now, some of us, we are into routines. We just don't recognize the routines. For some of us, the alarm goes off in the morning and we start slapping that snooze button. We're looking to get just as much time in bed as we possibly can. And we're slapping that snooze button, waiting until the last minute, jumping up, rushing to get dressed, rushing to get out of the house, and rushing to make it to work on time. Now, that's pretty chaotic, but realistically, that's a routine. And that's a routine that many people adopt. But it's a chaotic routine, and it's not healthy for us. So, a morning grounding, a typical morning routine, a typical healthy morning routine could look like, for instance, we get up in the morning when the alarm goes off. We set it so that we're going to have time to get the things done that we need in the morning. We get up and maybe we start our morning with a 5-minute prayer or a short meditation. A lot of people in recovery that I know begin their day with a reading, either from the scripture. Some people read from the big book or other recovery material. But we start our day with a routine. It doesn't have to be something that's super lengthy. It's not like we have to get up and set aside an hour or two before we get started. It can be a matter of getting up and setting aside 10 minutes, 15 minutes. A good start for me in the mornings is to get up and to write one feeling that I've been experiencing recently and one intention for the day. Here's something that I'd like to get done, something that I would like to accomplish. And to get that in front of me to get my day off to a good start. And then gratitude. Gratitude is always a good way to start the morning. And I've mentioned this many times before, but the idea of gratitude, there's been a number of studies now that say that those of us that are in recovery, if we can find things that we're grateful for, if we can identify something that we're grateful for, something that, if we want to use the term blessing, something that's a blessing in our life, if we're able to identify something that we're grateful for, something that's important to us, that is one of the leading indicators of whether or not we're going to be able to maintain long-term sobriety. So, starting my day with some gratitude. Now, I'll be honest with you. I don't do the best first thing when I get up in the morning. I've already told you, I get up, I head for the coffee pot. That is a routine that I have. I get up in the morning, I head for the coffee pot, I get the coffee going, and then I come back and I get myself dressed and I get ready to go. Some of these things that I've just shared with you, morning prayer, morning meditation or reading, I'm just being honest here. I don't do those immediately when I get up myself personally. For some people, it is best to do it first. I go into my office every day. And so in the morning here at the house, I get up, make coffee, get myself dressed, and head off to the office. And once I arrive at the office, I arrive with enough time before I need to get started to be able to do my morning routine there. For me, that works better. I'm more awake. I'm more focused. When I read, when I have my meditation or my prayer time, I'm more clear-headed. I'm not as groggy, and that works best for me. So we've got flexibility in some of these practices, but starting our day, whether it's immediately when we get out of bed or whether it's as we're moving forward, starting our day with a routine where we know what we're going to be doing when we get up. The coffee deal for me is something actually that started when I was in prison. It was a routine that started my day, and it's something that's carried over and has been really good for me, really healthy. The second anchor is movement and physical care. That's an important routine and anchor for our day. Any kind of movement, any kind of physical care is important and is good for us. It can be something like walking. Walking is my movement, my physical care of choice. My office is located right next to a park. And so when I get a break between clients, or if I get there a little early in the morning, or I've got time at the end of the day, I head right next door to my office to the park, and there's a track that's right at a mile in length. And I head to the park and walk. It's movement, that's physical care. For some people, it's going to the gym. I know you go to the gym, Blast. You're here, man, the gym for you is a daily thing. And it seems to be something that's really good for you. It's a routine that's important to you and something that you're able to look forward to every day. It can be all kinds of things, but we need physical activity, something to move our body and to keep us active. Important routine. Man, you already have routines in your life, Blast, like the gym. It's an important thing. The third anchor that I want to talk about today is the anchor of connection. For the vast majority of us that are in recovery, when we were in active addiction, connection was something that scared us to death. Getting close to people, connecting with people, interacting with people. Most of us just didn't do that well. We were too busy hiding our behaviors, hiding our struggles, living in fear and our addictions. Connection is an important daily anchor, an important part of our daily structure. Now, what does that connection look like? That connection can be a daily check-in with a friend. It can mean that we're making a phone call. It can mean that we're shooting a text. I like to use the Marco Polo app, and I send messages on there. I like Marco Polo a lot better than I like texts. When somebody sends me a Marco Polo, I can see their face, and that gives me insight into what they're feeling and how their day is going. But a daily check-in. And for me personally, it's best to have a structured check-in. I do a daily check-in with myself that I carry over into a check-in with a group of men. There's a small group of us, and we do a daily check-in together, 4 check-in questions. They come from an organization that we have been a part of for years. I think they're very solid. 4 check-in questions. What am I feeling today? It's important for us to know what we're feeling. Most of us aren't used to thinking about what we're feeling. We're used to running from our feelings. What am I feeling? What am I thinking about today? What's on my mind? What has my attention? What am I doing today? Who am I around? Where am I at? What am I doing? And then what am I thinking about doing? What's on my mind? Am I stressed about bills that are due later this week? Am I thinking about something I have to get done this evening? Where's my mind going? What's it focused on? So a check-in with a friend. Connection can be something like a text to our sponsor. I'm a big believer in a sponsor or somebody that we check in with regularly, where we can process how we're doing, a safe place where we can be open and honest about our struggles, about our successes, about what's going on in life. So a check-in with a sponsor. It may be that our connection is a meeting. For instance, every Monday night, I attend an in-person meeting. I've been attending this particular meeting for roughly 5 years. A meeting is a regular act of connection for me on Mondays. And then there are some online meetings that I do as often as I can during the week. It can be a quick call, but we need interaction with people. Now, I'm going to tell you something that you may know already, but if you don't know it, this is extremely important. Isolation is deadly. It's deadly for us emotionally. It's deadly for us spiritually, and it will destroy our sobriety and our forward movement in recovery. We have to have healthy connection. So the first 3 anchors so far, a morning grounding, something that we do in the morning to get ourselves focused, to get ourselves started. Movement, the physical activity, physical care during the day. Even a part of that can be just eating healthy, not eating junk food all day long. The third anchor is connection. And then the fourth anchor that I want to touch on here for a minute is an evening reflection. That reflection is important. It lets us analyze how things have worked for us today. And here's the deal. We want to ask ourselves questions. What did I feel today? What was I feeling? What was going on with me emotionally and inside of me? For many of us, that's a new question. That's not something we've thought about or processed in the past. But I'm going to tell you, we have to be able to identify our feelings, and we have to learn how to be able to process those in a healthy way if we want to experience long-term recovery. What did I feel today? What triggered me today? What set me off? Last for you, that might be you had to drive to Miami today. Maybe that's what triggered you. It could be an interaction that you had with somebody at work. It could be something that you saw, something that you heard on the news. What triggered me today? A third question for that evening reflection. What helped me? What worked well today? Maybe it's the idea that what we did for that movement and that physical care, man, going to the gym today was really beneficial for me. There are times for me when in my evening reflection, what comes to mind is, man, that walk was good for me today. It got me grounded. It got me re-centered and allowed me to refocus and continue through the day in a healthy way. So what helped me? What worked? And then the fourth question, an important question, what do I need to adjust for tomorrow? Life never stays stagnant. And, I've been in recovery for going on 15 years. I'm just shy of 10 years sobriety. Coming up on 10 years sobriety. Man, that's amazing to me. I never dreamed that was possible, but that's coming up. But what I have discovered in my recovery is that there are things that work today for me. The next week or next month or next year may need to be adjusted, may need to be changed. And so What adjustments do I need to make to my routine and to my plan for tomorrow? So again, those 4 anchors of a recovery-focused day are a morning grounding, something, whether it's first thing when we get up, whether it is a little bit later, like in my case, as soon as I get to the office, but something in the morning to get our day off on the right foot, a morning grounding. The second anchor is movement and physical care. Sorry, I got something going on here. The third anchor, connection. That needs to be a regular part of our recovery. We have to interact with people. For us, our addiction usually comes with trauma, as a result of trauma. And that trauma comes in community, whether it's family or friends, somebody that we've been close to and interacted with. That trauma comes through connection and community. But I'm going to tell you, healing has to come through connection and community too. So connection. And then the fourth anchor is an evening reflection, a time to look back on our day and ask ourselves, what worked? What did I feel today? What worked? What didn't work? And what kind of changes can I make for tomorrow to be better? So, what are your thoughts on that? Whether you're here live or whether you're listening in the replay, I'd like to hear your thoughts about what I'm saying here. What are your thoughts on routine in general? Do you recognize routine as being something that's important to you? Is the idea of routine something that you haven't put much thought into, but you're thinking maybe you need to think about it? You need to consider the role that routine can play in your life and how it can be beneficial. Now, the next thing I want to talk about for a few minutes is what happens when we lose our routine. Well, all of us, I think, know what it looks like when routines break down. If we're used to something going a certain way, if we're used to a certain activity during the day, if we're used to a certain flow in our life, when that routine breaks down, there's irritability, there's isolation. Those are two results, two consequences of a loss of routine. When we lose routine, it's easy for that loss of routine to spread into many areas. There are people that I know that for a long time, meetings were really important in their recovery. And all of a sudden, they're just not in meetings anymore and they're beginning to struggle. Now, I'm not saying that meetings are the answer for us for the rest of our life. Although a joke in the in-person meeting in my home group, the joke that's there is that if I live to be 100, one of the young punks there is going to be pushing me in a wheelchair. Not because I'm afraid that I'm going to relapse if I don't make a meeting. It's not because I'm scared that if I don't make a meeting, something bad is going to happen. But it's because I found family there in that meeting. I found stability. I have found a safe place where I can be open and honest. And I'm not fearful that if I miss a meeting, I'm going to relapse or act out. But I will tell you this, on those rare occasions when I do miss a meeting, I miss that meeting. Not just being there, I miss the people. I miss the interaction. I miss the honesty, and I miss the care that I'm able to show for others and that they show for me. As routine begins to slip away, it spreads into all kinds of areas. We may begin to skip meetings. We may begin to disconnect from support. Our check-ins stop. Our phone calls stop. And as this routine suffers, we begin to find old patterns and old habits slipping back into our life. Old thoughts start to return. These are signs that our rhythm needs attention. I was talking with somebody just recently that, man, meetings have been an important part of their life. Attending meetings, helping to lead meetings, being a sponsor to people that they've met in meetings, and that's begun to drift away. And they've recognized that, and they've recognized that there are some old thoughts slipping back in, and that's been a signal for them to reestablish that routine in their life. These are signs that our rhythm needs attention, that our routine needs attention. Now, I want to touch for a little bit on practical tools for building strong routines. Now, the number one tool, the number one thing that we need to establish is we need to start small. Most of us, when we set goals, you've maybe heard of the idea of big, audacious goals. But for many of us, when we're starting, it's like New Year's is coming up here before long, less than a month away. Have you ever made a commitment at New Year's? You joined a gym. I'm going to work out 5 times a week this year. How'd that go for you? How did that turn out? We start small. We pick one habit and we commit to that habit for 1 week. Now, for instance, if our habit were the gym, we decide that we're going to go to the gym. We pick that one habit and then we commit to that habit in a small, healthy way for that 1 week. So what do? Do we say, all right, I'm going to be in the gym 5 times this week? I guarantee you it's not going to last. It isn't going to last. We set a SMART goal, something that's attainable, and we can increase and make it bigger later. Maybe here in the beginning, we commit that we're going to go to the gym 2 times a week. Something that's achievable, something that's not going to wear us out and burn us out in the immediate. Start small. I've seen people in recovery that set big goals. I'm going to go to a meeting every day of the week. And let me tell you, I've seen people that in the beginning, that's maybe been a good thing for a week. 7 meetings in 7 days. I've seen a lot of guys do that. But that's not something that generally that they set to be an ongoing thing. Maybe they commit to 7 meetings in 7 days so that they can check out 7 different meetings, 7 different groups of people. And then they can decide, I think this one is the right fit for me. This is going to become my home group. Pick one habit, commit to it for 7 days. Make sure that it's something that's achievable. Number 2. Number 1 was start small. Number 2 is stack your habits. Now, what does that look like? Stacking habits is attaching new habits to things that we already do. For instance, when I first started attending meetings, I attached that habit, that meeting habit. That was a new habit for me. And when I first started doing meetings, I attached that habit to my trip home at the end of the day from work. I got off work. I made a stop somewhere to get me a snack or something to eat. And I found a meeting that was right there that I could hit on the way home. Now, later, for me, the healthy thing was to move that habit, move that meeting to a different time. But in the beginning, getting that habit started of attending meetings worked well for me by attaching it to my trip home. Stack your habits. Find something that you're already doing and attach a habit to it. For instance, again, my habit of walking. You know, I really like, there's a place here in Louisville, there's an old railroad bridge that they've turned into a walking bridge across the river from southern Indiana, here where I'm at, to Louisville. And I really like that walking bridge. There's a park on each side of it, and an area of old Louisville on the other side, on the Kentucky side. And I really like walking that bridge and in that area. But you know, walking that bridge is not easy for me to get to, not during the week. It's difficult for me to get there during the week. A lot of times I have appointments that go late into the evening. So I found that place, that trail right there next to my office where I can walk when I have a break at the office. Again, it's that idea of attaching new habits to things I already do. If I would have set the habit that I was going to try to go down to that bridge 4 or 5 days a week and walk, it wouldn't have lasted and I wouldn't be doing it. But because I found a way to connect that habit to something I'm already doing, going to work, it became a regular thing for me, something I could follow through with and do. Stack your habits. Look for ways to start new habits attached to things that you're already doing. Number 3, create what I call recovery windows. These are short, intentional pauses through the day. One of the windows that I'm using right now is a meditation app. It's an app called Lectio 365. It's spiritual meditations. And this particular app offers 3 meditations a day, a morning meditation, a midday, and an evening meditation. And it works really well for me. The meditations are 8 minutes or so, 7 or 8 minutes. And with them scattered like they are, it makes it possible for me to do a morning meditation on my morning break, a midday meditation during lunch, and an afternoon meditation in my afternoon break. And so having those little recovery windows where I can stop, refocus, calm myself, they work really well for me. What are some little things that you can put into place in your day to create these recovery windows? Use alarms and reminders. You know, I actually do this with my recovery windows. I set an alarm on my phone that lets me know, oh man, it's break time. I need to do my meditation. And I set those alarms. I set those not because I'm weak, but because I'm human. And it's easy for me to get distracted or caught up in the moment and slip by those things that I've put in place to be a benefit for me. So I use alarms and reminders to pull me back into focus and get me back on track during the day to keep a healthy routine. Keep a simple daily check-in journal. Man, this is a big deal for me. A simple daily check-in journal. I told you a few minutes ago about those 4 questions. Those 4 daily check-in questions are a big deal for me. And those questions again, question number 1, what am I feeling? For most of my life, I did everything I could to avoid my feelings. In my recovery, being able to identify my feelings and learning to press in and process my feelings in a healthy way has become probably the biggest tool and the biggest difference maker in my recovery. Question number 1, what am I feeling? Question number 2, what am I thinking? What's on my mind today? What am I doing? That's, what we'd automatically think of. What am I doing? I'm at work today. But for me, that includes things like, who am I around today? Where have I been today? And then question number 4, what am I thinking about doing? And I've touched on that before. There have been numerous studies over the years that have talked about the role that patterns play in our addiction. And we know about triggers. When we began to do a daily check-in and we journal that, I just answer those 4 questions every day and I write them down. In fact, my journal is right here. And I sit here at my desk in the evening and I write down answers to those 4 questions. And what that does, it doesn't take me a long time. It doesn't take me, I can do those 4 questions in maybe a half a sheet of paper. But what it does is it allows me to process and get those things out. And then the second thing it does is it provides me something I can go back to and look at where I can identify patterns. Things like, when I'm feeling this way, man, I'm at a pretty high risk for struggle or for relapse. When I'm around these people, I struggle. When I'm in this location or this place, I struggle. It also lets me identify good things. When I'm around these people, my Monday night home group, for instance, man, I feel better. I'm connected. I'm opening up and being honest about what's going on with me. So it helps me to identify patterns, healthy patterns, unhealthy patterns. And a lot of times I will finish that check-in with something that I'm thankful for. So keep a simple daily check-in journal. And then number 6, lean into structure, especially during stress. When we are in times of stress, for instance, right now we're in the holidays. Thanksgiving was just here. For some of you, Thanksgiving is a good thing. For some of us, Thanksgiving is a difficult thing. We struggle with being around family, or we struggle with not being around family. It's coming up on Christmas. Christmas presents its own struggles. There may be travel involved. There may be extra financial pressure involved with gifts and the like. During those times when there's extra stress, lean into that structure all the more. It becomes important to us. Again, just to recap, on those tools. Number one, start small. Pick a habit, something that's attainable, something where you're not going big time. I'm going to do this every day this week. Something that's small and attainable, and commit to it for 7 days. Stack your habits, connect your habits to things that you're already doing. Create recovery windows, short intentional pauses throughout your day. For instance, that app that I use, Lectio 365, it's an app that I use. It's a free app in the App Store on your phone, iPhone or Android. It's a free app. It's what I use every day, one of the tools that I use. Use alarms and reminders. I'm being honest with you when I tell you, if I don't set alarms and reminders, for instance, for my meditations on that app, I will get caught up in things and I'll miss them. So I set alarms and reminders. Keep a simple daily check-in journal. I'd recommend those 4 questions. What am I feeling? What am I thinking? What am I doing? What am I thinking of doing? If you can't remember those questions or you need a reminder of those questions, shoot me a message. You can email me, rwcoaching2@gmail.com. Go to my website, reach out to me there. Shoot me something here in Facebook Messenger. And I'll get you a real simple outline for those 4 check-in questions. And then number 6, lean into structure during stressful times. Times like here, maybe at the holidays. Times when things are a little rough at work. Times when there's a little extra financial stress. In those times of stress, lean into structure. It can be a lifesaver for us in our recovery. All right. Now, how do routines, things that we've been talking about today, how do routines lead to long-term recovery? How does this all connect? Well, first of all, we have to remember that old saying, that old 12-step saying. My mind's going blank here. I'm losing it. Let me get a drink. All right. Didn't bring it back, but here's what I'll say. Recovery is not about perfection. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. And I got news for you. Neither one of us, you or me, are ever going to be perfect. What we're shooting for is progress. Recovery is not about perfection. It's about me doing a little bit better today than I did yesterday. Recovery is about direction. Again, that idea of progress. Am I moving towards something? Are things a little bit better than they were? You know, one of the things that we struggle with in recovery, we get up and we look in the mirror every day. And when we look in the mirror every day, it's difficult to see change. I have people that'll shoot me a message, man, I'm never going to beat this. I'm never going to be free. And then I have to remind them, do you remember when I met you 3 years ago? How often were you relapsing? How often were you going back to these old behaviors? How many times has that happened this month? How many times has that happened in the past 6 months? You see, there's been big progress. We just don't see it because we're looking in that mirror every day. But many times people in those safe environments, if we've got a home group, if we've got a sponsor, those are the people that are able to see the growth in us. is those people where we're able to be real. It's about direction. Daily routines keep us moving forward even when life is trying to pull us backwards. Small routines build a lot of things in our life. Small routines build things like emotional regulation. When I have small routines, for instance, my daily meditations with that app, that routine of taking a pause builds emotional regulation. It allows me to stop and to take a breath and to recenter myself. It builds emotional regulation. It builds spiritual strength. Those daily routines like that activity, going to a gym, walking, some kind of physical health routine builds physical well-being. It builds relational connection. When we commit to a regular meeting or to a regular check-in with a group or with an individual, it builds a relational connection. It builds healthy community. It builds resilience. When we have routines in our life, it makes it easier for us to bounce back into a healthy pattern, into a healthy routine. It builds confidence. I've had people tell me, I don't do well with commitments. But then they make a commitment to doing one meeting a week, or they make a commitment, one day this week I'm going to walk. I'm going to walk this month. I'm going to walk one day a week. I'm going to walk 2 days a week. And the month rolls around, and maybe 2 weeks they did walk 2 days. 2 weeks they walked one day. But you know what? That's 6 walks more than they did the month before. Routines build hope. Hope is life for somebody in recovery. We have to be able to believe that things can get better. And I'm here to tell you things can get better. We're able to see that progress when we are in healthy routine, healthy community. All right, I'm moving towards the closing, moving towards wrapping things up here today. Some of you have been bouncing in and out here today. Many of you, the majority of you, are going to be watching this later this week or this month on Facebook, or you're going to be watching on one of my other platforms where it is going to be posted and it'll roll off. This live will roll off of Facebook in 30 days. That's the way the live events work. But it'll be posted by tomorrow morning on my YouTube channel, and it'll be there for good. And the majority of viewers come in that 30 days here on Facebook or on YouTube as it stays posted there. So again, I want to, as a reminder, say, if you jump on here, even if it's on the replay, stick a comment there, say replay, so that I can come back and see how people are jumping in. And when you jump on here on a replay, let me know where you're coming in from. I'm interested in finding out. Feel free to ask questions and post comments. I go back and I'll look at those. I attempt to respond to them. And then in closing today, I want to issue you a challenge for this week. All right? Here's my challenge. Choose one small habit that supports recovery. That may be, I'm going to commit to one meeting a week. I'm going to commit to a regular check-in time shooting a text or a phone call. Pick one recovery habit and commit to doing that for the next 7 days. And when you make that commitment, I would challenge you to post that here in the comments. Post that challenge, because what I'm going to tell you is this. When we commit to something and we don't share that with anybody, we don't do it. When we step out, when we make a commitment and we step out and we share that, that does something inside of us. It tells us this is real. And it greatly increases the odds that we're going to follow through and we're going to accomplish what we're committing to. So if you watch this event on Facebook, on YouTube, wherever you watch it at, and you make that commitment for this week, post that commitment or shoot me a message. Tell me what that commitment is. I want to do what I can to encourage you, and I want to see you make progress. So what's one thing that you're taking away from tonight's conversation? What's one thing that you can carry away from this with you tonight? Again, stick that in the comments. Shoot me a message. I want to know what that is. Next week, I'll be back again Tuesday evening, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's when we do the live. And then by Wednesday morning, the video is posted on the YouTube channel, RW Coaching, and it's available there. So until next Tuesday, here's to making a new commitment and to stepping into, even if it's just a little bit, to stepping into some structure this week. Remember, recovery isn't built by big decisions. Recovery is built by faithful daily rhythms and routines that shape who you're becoming. And you're becoming a new person. You're becoming a better person. I believe that, and I believe in you. Have a good evening.